Roll call, Mr. Enders.
Mr. Allen.
Present.
Mrs. Calhoun.
Here.
Miss Dobler.
Here.
Miss Edwards.
Here.
Mrs. Grant.
Here.
Mr. Kinley.
Here.
Mrs. Petrosky.
Here.
Mrs. Stemler.
Here.
Mrs. Thomas.
Here.
All 9 members present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have approval of the minutes. We have minutes for July 10th, 2023 special board meeting and July 24th, 2023 regular meeting. May I have a motion for A and B?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? I heard it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Non-favor, like sign. Motion carries. Next, we move to the treasurer's report. For July 2023 treasurer's report, which was attached, and the July 2023 investment report, which is also an attachment. May I have a motion for A and B?
Motion. Second.
Any questions?
I just want to let the board know, I'm planning on giving you a budget update at the next board meeting. It'll give you the state impact of the budget. We've sat through some webinars that provide them PASBO, got some direction on where we're going to be. Some of you may have seen the Senate is supposed to be in session and wrapping up the budget. Apparently that's their number 1 priority right now. And number 2 piece, I also want to give you an update on the 24-25 budget calendar. I'm hoping to maybe have that at the next meeting. If not, I will be discussing that. So I said that because we are doing an investment this week. I told you at the last meeting we were holding investments until we had a budget, but we were moving forward with investing our money.
Any questions? Comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Non-favor, like sign. Motion carries. Moving on to approval of the bills. The bills for this month are $2,785,702.02. May I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Mr. Enders, you need to make any comments in this? Or we
No, bills were pretty standard this time, so there's nothing really unusual in them.
Any questions? Concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor, like sign. Motion carries. Next, we move on to presentations. First one is communications with Dr. Ulmer.
I just want to point out again our back-to-school information because that does include information that did come out via one call but is on our back-to-school information about the change to food service deposits. I did get an email today from a parent confused about how to make a deposit, and Mr. Enders received a communication too. So make sure you notice that on our back-to-school information is a how to deposit money on your child's lunch account, and also was sent out via one call. So check that out because it has changed. Thank you.
Next is the president's report. We had an executive session before the meeting that started at 5:45 p.m. for the purpose of legal, personnel, and safety. Next is IU. Any update, Jesse?
Yeah. As of August 16th meeting, early intervention specialized classrooms, they have 77 children enrolled in the early intervention specialized classrooms. for the 23-24 year. They ended the year at a 19% increase in enrollment, and these trends are projected to continue. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Next, the superintendent's report.
I am going to recognize our elementary principals and point out to the board that at your seat is a copy of their presentation that will also be on the screen. Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Barry Probst, and Mr. Jean, you're up.
So we would like to present this evening our elementary scheduling project we overtook this summer. It was a pretty big overhaul. All the principals in the districts, K-12, we went to a scheduling workshop at the intermediate unit last fall. And we were led by Dr. Michael Reddick, who actually is the head of our school scheduling associate. So typically scheduling takes all
Can you
summer.
speak up, please? Can you speak up, please?
Sure, sorry.
Thank you.
So scheduling typically takes all summer, but thanks to some personalized discussions that we had with Dr. Reddick and also with the templates he provided, we were able to move forward with scheduling more quickly, and we actually were able to present to the teachers in June about the new schedule. And it was optional to attend since it was the summer months. And we also provided a recording afterwards. So the picture you have up here, the slide you have here, one of the most profound things he probably said to us as elementary principals is that you have to think about scheduling 3 building-wide, not just thinking of it as JSC, not just thinking of it as Avis and Salisbury, but you have to think about all 3 buildings. And one of our 2 main goals was to provide common planning time for teachers, not just at Jersey Shore Elementary, but that all kindergarten teachers could essentially meet at the same time. And also, the other goal was to allow middle school to have some more, be able to offer some more program opportunities if they didn't have to share specialists with our building. And so that was what our 2 goals were. And actually, as we went through the schedule, we actually saw many more gains. So it is an 8-day cycle, and that being because that previous slide that you saw there, like a 2-4-2 model. So 2 teachers at Avis, 2 teachers at Salisbury, 4 teachers at JSC. So how could we possibly get 8 specialists at the same time in order for this common plan? And so if you think of it as 2 4-day cycles, you have health and PE because we have a health and PE teacher at both at JSC and at Avis and Salisbury. Music, art, and then a STEAM and book exchange. So that's like the first 4. And then the other 4 would be the health and PE, the computer information and technology, and we did create a new special in order to make this possible, which was what we call LIT, which is literacy across the content areas. So in that course, it is led by a Title I para, so they will piggyback lessons that the classroom teacher is doing. We use Second Step as our social emotional curriculum, so teachers will start those lessons in September, and then they'll piggyback those in October. And right now, we're starting the month with like character lessons that we can use universally to help reinforce our BARC, our school-wide positive behavior character traits. So if you think of it as 2 4-day cycles, but I thought it'd be confusing if we did a 4-day orange and a 4-day black. So it's just 8 days. This just gets into a little bit more details of what does that really mean. So health and PE, we value as an elementary team health curriculum. So that is embedded more into our PE classes. Elementary art, there was no change, except for now Mrs. Taylor did have to teach K-5. There's no changes in elementary music. It's still Ms. Becker, and she has K-5. The change for our computer and information technology class is that she previously only had grades 2 through 5, and with this new schedule opportunity, she now has K through 5, exposed to that same curriculum. STEAM, we were able to add a grade, so instead of kindergarten and chorus, we talked with the department at the end of the year, and Mr. Bergman, who leads our choral instruction, wanted to essentially meet with them twice a cycle, but use the music room. I didn't really have usually opportunities that Ms. Becker was not in the music room. So now that we have the 8-day cycle, there's 4 days that she is not at JSASD, so Mr. Bergman can now have the kids twice a cycle, and also band can be twice a cycle, in addition to some additional small group instructional lessons. They hope to expand band into grade 4 next year, but we wanted to first get this organized and make sure we have good communication. This template was only helpful as far as mapping out when to have specials. So I think just one point to point out with this slide is typically before, when we shared our specialists with middle school, we had to have 4th and 5th grade specials first thing in the morning. However, you also have to have band and chorus first thing in the morning, so the kids could either be missing core instruction or missing some of their specials. So we were able to now, because we weren't tied to those specialists at the middle school, move our intervention period first for grade 5. So they're not missing core, and they go to band and chorus. Also with 4th grade, they don't start off their day with band and chorus. They're usually the second period. Again, they don't miss core instruction. They have special, and they go into an intervention block. So that was also something that we were able to do by not having shared specialists. This slide is a good summary slide of what did it really mean when it came to all the instructional blocks. So with PE, this one is not the most updated one, but for PE, I think the one you have in front of you, for grades 4 and 5, it would essentially be a loss of about 15 hours of instruction because we value health. That another period that they have is health. Before, 4th and 5th graders had 2 PE classes and a separate health class. So in order to have K-5 with one teacher, like I said, there's a gain with health with K through 3. However, it is a loss of instructional minutes for PE only for grades 4 and 5. So that's when we have to be creative with staffing. We value the elementary team having health, and that's something that we're now revisiting with the department, like at the end of each semester. With art, it was about a loss of 5 hours, but your gain is that now middle school is not sharing a art teacher with us. So in a whole year, it's 5 hours. CIT, again, I broke it up there for you. So yes, like I said, it's a loss of 5 hours for grades 2 through 5, but we gain instructions by adding K and 1. So these are some of the losses and gains. With our lit special, that's new, so that's a gain. We added more time in our library time, which is a personalized learning time now as well, which is something that the middle school has, but they can essentially work on individual lessons with their eye ready. And also, we have an accelerated reader program, but they can read independently during that time. Music was only about a 20-minute loss because of the 8-day cycle. And there's no change to our ELA and math blocks, which is 90 minutes for each of those blocks. Science, we gained time for science, which is pretty critical because I don't know if you realize, but we are actually in year 2 of a 3-year implementation for the new science standards. So they just released the new standards at the end of May. And we just presented to the teachers this at the back to school in-service. They're moving the PSSA test to grades 5, not for this next year, but the following year. So it's critical that we have time for science instruction. And then we gain some time in also our SEL program, which is second step, which we feel is valuable and essential for our students. And then finally, this is just a sample. By not having people, it used to be that, this teacher would be going out for music, but the rest of them are having reading. Oh, you have to go out for, now you have to go out for PE. So now everybody has special at the same time. So you can see nice, clean, consistent blocks, where some grade levels might get to have 60 minutes for their intro and come back for the 30 minutes, but it was just a much cleaner schedule, providing more consistent instructional blocks. So that is our summary of our overhaul, 8-day cycle, 40-minute special, where before it was only 30 minutes, except for CIT and STEAM. But you can see we really gained much more than what we thought. We thought it was just going to be common plan and releasing some specialists for the middle school, and we saw a lot more gains, which those slides aren't on here, but just to share a few of them, the Common Plan also allows instructional coaching and professional development, the 30-minute science period, adding STEAM for grade 2, more personalized learning time. Second step, no travel for specialists once they're at the building. Sometimes our specialists were traveling 2 and 3 buildings a day. So now like if Melissa Becker is in our building for music, she's in our building all day. And that is wonderful because Melissa was one of our specialists that had all of the classes, K-5. And so sometimes she had 7 or 8 periods in a day, where other specialists had 6. So it's much more equitable. Everybody, all the specialists have 6 classes a day, 1 for each grade level. And then, like I said, with the band and chorus. So that's just, you know, some of the gains that we realized through the new schedule. So we're pretty excited. Some of those changes are different, for the teachers, but the potential of what we gain is really exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any individual questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we can always email you and get back to you. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for them?
I do.
Sure.
Were grade level leaders involved in all of this?
They weren't involved in like going to those workshops that we had, but when we presented in June, they got to see everything there, and we also answered individual questions at that time. But we did say we were rolling out with the 8-day cycle at that time.
So all of this, you're going to be able to cover all the standards for the PSSA testing with all of this schedule change?
Yes, because we didn't lose any instructional minutes in ELA math, and we gained in science, which we also are tested on. So there was no loss to those instructional minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other, go ahead.
So I saw on your, let's see, on page 6, the program offerings, for your CIT, it says that your computer and information technology will be classes K to 5. Was it always K to 5 in the past? No.
We could only offer that before 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So we knew in the schedule we had time definitely to add a grade level for this year, but then having the 8 days allowed us to have K and 1 included with that.
So I'm just curious, what is it that you do teach the kindergarten and the 1st and 2nd graders when it comes to the computers?
So as you know, we're 1-to-1 with the iPad. So some, the teachers still want them to be able to know how to utilize those and maneuver their way around the iPad. But actually, there's some great, we have something called, you'll have to come in and see it, but they're called Osmos. So it also allows even primary students to do coding. They can use alphabet tiles to do sounds. I saw Mrs. Wirt last year, like if they needed to have the sound, like and they pop the bubble so it's interactive. There's coding, there's a drawing one. Mrs. Rao she presented to our staff for professional development, and she's pretty excited about some of the projects she can do. So she has more entrepreneurship, computer, like digital citizenship. So she covers a lot with her standards. But I got, she definitely has many ideas for K-5. But we did demonstrate that for the staff at one of our spring faculty meetings. And it was pretty, like even like the numbers, the tiles, like putting 2 number tiles together, and you actually move the tiles, and there's a mirror to display that on the iPad. And so they're actually moving those tiles to like what's 2 + 3. And for younger kids, there's dots. So they get to do that. And that was with kindergarten and 1st graders.
Okay, thank you.
Have you gotten any feedback from the teachers yet?
Yep.
About the schedule? Like,
Yes.
everybody's adjusting well?
Yeah, the biggest change right now is we asked them to roll with how it's mapped out. And so that's different. We're used to maybe teaching science at this time or ELA. But for the most part, they're definitely excited about the games because we utilize the IU for instructional coaching quite a bit. So now it's no longer like, only JSD is getting this at this time. We now can be with all 3 buildings at the same time. So we no longer had to take their 7 to 7:30 time. We're using their grade level common plan time during that time.
Awesome.
I have another question.
Sure.
Are you still using the FOSS kits for the science program?
Yes, we are.
I know before that in order to meet the standards, they had to adjust the kits. to meet the standards for the kids? They would bring things in and move things around in the kit. Are they still going to do that, or they all have to stick with the kits? 100%.
So they have there's 3 different science kits with each grade level, so they still teach that curriculum, and teachers typically have supplemented before in the past, but at first we wanted them to at least be able to do the earth science, life science, and physical science kits, and so the FOSS, their website that they use, is updated to the science standards, and the new way, I guess I would say, really emphasis on inquiry-based, hands-on learning. So, and they also have, SAS put out the Skills Hub, and it's amazing, but also has cross-cutting, how can I incorporate this in ELA, math, and science, right? So it's not just we only do science during this time. But we just been talking a lot with the teachers with FOSS, but we'll also be providing professional development on the new science standards. Because the FOSS kits have been around, but the science standards, they're K-12 actually, the new science standards.
I know they didn't used to meet the standards. They had to take and move things around a little bit, add things to the kit, not teach this, or, I don't know what the new ones are, like you said. So maybe they are meeting the standards, but I know they didn't used to.
The website is even more updated than the actual kits, the Think Link app. And so those have demonstration videos for the teachers. They have step by step, there's it's actually for the teachers and for the students. And then we had a student today show us the students can actually get the book on their iPad. So it's in their Clever app, and so the teachers can actually assign the book and they can have it right there while the teacher's also presenting.
Okay.
Which is nice because we don't have to be buying books for every single student because we have that potential.
But they can still adapt the kits if they need to. If they find something that's not quite right, then they can talk to somebody and.
Right. So first, that's a good basis, right, for some of those life science, like I said, physical science standards. But then, as teachers see fit, they supplement lessons. But first, we got to get them doing those investigations.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have one question on this LIT. Can you explain that to me more?
Sure. So that, we call that literacy across the curriculum. So that special reinforces our second step lessons that the teachers are doing. So there was read alouds that we purchased to go with the second step program. So some of those read alouds can be there. This month we're doing a bucket, I don't know if you've ever seen the bucket filler book, but K-5, how you can fill other people's buckets. And so we're doing that to open up for the character. We also established ourselves K-12 as a no place for hate school. So if we have a lesson that pertains to a certain holiday, or we have character lessons through the character committee. And so in our building, for example, they might have respect. And respect, there's a little video in a book. So it's a great place to reinforce those lessons, because with only having one guidance counselor, Kate, for 3 buildings, we can't tie her up by having guidance classes. So it's nice that we're able to reinforce that through this special. Now, it's only once an 8-day cycle, so it might be 2 or 3 times a month that they get that special.
And I'll add to that one of the things she said first, and I didn't hear her say the second time, was those are also being run by your Title I paraprofessionals. So the other idea there was reinforce the literacy skills that we're teaching them in Title I, because they're getting read to and modeled reading by a Title I paraprofessional. So it's not only the kids identified with title support that are seeing a title specialist. Now every kid is seeing a title specialist, even though it's only once an 8-day cycle. They're still getting those skills reinforced and good reading skills.
I had the grade level leaders send me the K3 has standards-based report cards, so I had them send me those, so that way if I want to emphasize a certain comprehension skill in that lesson, I can do that and help support their standards.
All right, thanks.
Sure. Anything else?
Anything else? Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you.
There you go.
That's my report.
Thank you. Next is courtesy of the floor, but there's no sign up, so I'll move on to personnel. something on the agenda? Okay. You know the drill. State your name, address, and what you're going to address.
John Sharman, Ward 2, Region 2. This pertains to basically what, under buildings and grounds, some comments that were made the last time. I commend the business manager for bringing up pointing out the problems with the middle school and also the senior high school. However, although I think there's one thing that's been ignored, that is the Avis Elementary School, which has been in use since 1978. There have been no major remodels made to that building or anything. And I'm understanding that building there is probably going to be a $40 million rebuild. That school is unsafe for children. You've taken children from the school district here that are safe, put them in a building out there that is back and remote from everything. Hard to get the students to safety with it. It's open concept. There's no way you can secure those classrooms individually. And to me, instead of wasting the time of going through where we were going to put children at and everything, along with the administration and the head of the school board, should have sat down and come up with a comprehensive plan, first of all, with what you're going to do for the buildings and the expenses and where the money was going to come up for that. Instead of worrying about teachers' contracts at this time. We got 3 buildings that need maintenance, need severe repair on. That, in my estimation, is first for school safety and children's safety, and also for the teachers and staff. That should have been considered first before everything else. There should have been a general plan put together, and there's no excuse that it didn't happen. It's lack of leadership and lack of leadership by the head of the school board. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. Moving on to personnel. Renee Yarborough as a volunteer cross-country coach pending clearances for the 23-24 season. Appointment of Seth Hempler to girls assistant track coach position effective the 23-24 season. Department coordinator job description is attached. Appointment of Bonnie Mitchell-Tree to a cafeteria sub position effective August the 29th, 2023. Appointment of Harrison Young and Heather Reeder as career and technical education co-department coordinators effective the 23-24 school year. Appointment of Holly Dittmer and Aaron Kemmix as the 4th grade co-leaders effective the 23-24 school year. Appointment of Avery Hess as a first assistant varsity girls basketball coach effective the 23-24 school season. Patty Hess as a volunteer girls basketball coach effective 23-24 school season. John Eichenlob as a volunteer girls basketball coach effective the 23-24 season. Appointment of Josh Smith as the girls head junior high basketball coach effective the 23-24 season. Agreement of Steve Lehman as the girls assistant junior high basketball coach effective the 23-24 season. Dave Shaw as a volunteer girls basketball coach effective the 23-24 season pending clearances. Accepting a letter of resignation from Brandy Breon as a game staff for athletic events effective August the 23rd, 2023. Appointment of William Minster to the Act 93 athletic director position effective September the 12th, 2023, or upon release from current employer pending clearances. Appointment of Sarah Harbaugh to an elementary learning support teacher position at the Avis Elementary, Bachelor Step 1, effective August the 29th, 2023. May I have a motion for A through O?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Not in favor, like sign. Motion carries. And we'd like to congratulate Bill Minster on his new position. I should say, coming back home.
Welcome.
Next, curriculum instruction, nothing under tonight's agenda, following by building and grounds with nothing under tonight's agenda. Moving on to finance item, we have one finance item, Vanguard as a 403B provider. May I have a motion?
I will. Second.
Comments or concerns? Questions or concerns? This is just adding a new vendor, correct, to what we already do. Hearing no concerns or questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Non-favor, like sign. Motion carries. Moving on to miscellaneous. The following policies as a first read. Policy 006 for meetings. Policy 216.1 for supplemental discipline records. Policy 251 for homeless students. The following policies as a second reading. Policy 717, cellular telephones. An agreement with Maxim Healthcare Service to provide nursing services for student 23-24-10, effective the 23-24 school year. Participation in Spark Good Registry and Roundup programs through Walmart for the 23-24 school year. A donations of 12 acoustic shells valued at $12,000 to the Jersey Area School District's band and choir by the South Williamsport Area School District. Renewal of the Jersey Area School District Pre-K Counts Partnership Agreement with All Things Bright and Beautiful Daycare for the 23-24 school year. Renewal of the Jersey Shore Area School District Pre-K Counts Partnership Agreement with Your Guardian Angel Preschool and Child Care for the 23-24 school year. May I have a motion for A through G?
Motion.
Second.
Questions?
I have one. D, what is that?
That's something new. It's one of those situations, it's my understanding that purchasing things can give credit to school districts. Is that how it?
So my understanding was if you go to Walmart and they say, do you want to round up your order? And you say yes, in order for us to apply for funds, we have to have we need board approval to accept donations in order for us to apply for those funds. So you're approving us being a part of that program.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor, like sign. Motion carries. Letter J, old business, there's none listed. Anyone want to make a comment? Or have some old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to courtesy of the floor. This courtesy of the floor will be for public comment on non-agenda items. State your name, address, and identify what you would like to address, and you will have 3 minutes. Anyone like to make any comments? And to address the board? All right, seeing none, I guess I should say. There will be an executive session afterwards, which no business will take place. May I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
For personnel matters, sorry. We are adjourned.